What you do in your 50s can easily shape the next 30, even 40 years of your life. This is the decade of decision. It's time to put your future into motion. We don't get as many chances to get it right anymore. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a pivot in your 50s without starting over. But it's 5 key areas that if you focus on these, you'll build a future that you can feel really good about. Let's start with something that often gets overlooked, but can carry the deepest impact over time: our relationships. These are the people that we can connect with over the next few decades. Now, I had to look this statistic up, but loneliness contributes to a 60% risk of premature death. Life gets busy. We all know that. But just sending a quick thinking of you text or how are you doing? Put it in your calendar every so often to just check in with some of your friends, whether they're long distance or 2 miles down the road. It gets more and more difficult these days to stay in touch with people, it seems, when we have more communication devices than ever. Now, I know this one is something I struggle with personally. I'm an introvert, so I'm not a big social butterfly. And being a caregiver for as long as I have been, that tends to, we'll just say that friendships start to thin out the longer you're a caregiver. That's one of the bad side effects of that. So I know this is something that I need to work on myself. Sending those quick text messages, they can keep friendships kindled just enough so that you can reconnect at any time. If you're married or in a long term relationship, it's time to rekindle that as well. And it doesn't take huge gestures. Sometimes it's just the quiet rituals that work the best, having coffee together in the morning or working on a project together, cooking dinner side by side. The key is just to keep talking, keep lines of communication open there as well. And you'd think it'd be really easy when we live with someone. But I know growing up, I remember both sides of my grandparents. They didn't seem to talk much to each other. But I just think as we age, it's easier to grow apart in that way. And if there's someone in your family that you're estranged from, I've been there as well. Be the one to keep that thread of communication open. Send them text messages. If you can't send them a text message, try to call them. Even if they don't answer, leave them a voicemail. Send them an email. Send them a letter in the mail. It doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to even talk about, reuniting or bringing up whatever it is. Just make it casual. Keep that line of communication that is so important open. So if there is ever a time that they want to reconnect again, that door will already be cracked. I know in this one that pride can get in the way really easily. And pride can be very expensive. But reconnection, that is priceless. Okay, and on to the next priority, which is financial and our 50s. I've talked about this in a lot of my videos, so I'm not going to rehash all of that. But this is the decade to get serious about our finances in relationship to retirement, to debt, to maybe paying off our mortgage, to just getting things straightened out, putting the bad stuff behind us, and looking ahead to the future. This is the decade that you can get serious about that. And whatever it takes, if you need to start checking some books out from the library or start listening to some podcasts, there's some really good ones out there. Anything to get you motivated is key. This is also the decade that the government will allow us to increase our contributions to our retirement accounts. There's some that start at age 50 and other accounts that start at age 55. You can look those up, it's real easy to find. But you can increase your contributions if that's something that you want to do. This is the time to do it. Being in your 50s, you still have lots of years for that money to grow. So don't think that you've missed the boat just because you've waited this long to, even start putting into your retirement fund. It's never too late. The next priority I want to cover is identifying and developing your interests and your hobbies. Now, this isn't just fluffy talk. A life without interests and hobbies can lead to boredom, unfulfillment, even unhappiness in life. Now, here's what I've found is the perfect recipe for a life worth getting out of bed for. Now, there can be overlap, but just make sure that your hobbies that they touch on these four areas. One is intellectual, two is creative, three is active, and four is nature slash outdoors. Now, let's say you enjoy hiking. Now, that would cover the active category and the nature outdoorsy category. If you get into history documentaries, that would tap into your intellectual. And let's say you love spending time with your grandchildren. That could tap into all four of them, depending on what kind of activities you engage in when you're with them. Take gardening as another example. That could be creative. Of course, it's outdoors. And you can get pretty active when it comes to gardening as well. So take a look at your hobbies and just make sure that you dabble a little bit in all of those four areas, and you'll have a well rounded life that leads to more fulfillment. The fourth priority I want to cover is our health, and we can make a huge pivot in our 50s regarding the health of our bodies. 100 years ago, Americans weren't trying to eat healthy. They weren't trying to avoid chemicals or even avoid sugar. They were more concerned about not getting some kind of communicable disease, such as tuberculosis or the flu or pneumonia. Today is different. Now, while we still don't want to contract any communicable diseases, most of our concerns are with our diet, with the, chemical overload or too much sitting. So here's an idea. Every birthday that you have in your 50s, set a new health goal for yourself on that day. Whether it's improving your diet, reading ingredient labels, starting a fitness plan, riding your bike more. Just think how much stronger, how much healthier, how much better you're going to feel by your 60th birthday if you stay consistent with this. Other ways to make a massive health pivot in your 50s is just getting an annual physical, getting your blood work done, starting a strength training program. Retain as much muscle as you can because you need that muscle to serve you for the coming decades. Also, start working on your flexibility. I've noticed that I get a lot stiffer in my 50s than before. So it's something we need to work on, doing stretches. These are things that we can put on our to-do list, incorporate them into our routines. And the fifth priority is seriously thinking about how you want to spend the next 20, 30, 40 years of your life. Our 50s is the perfect time to ask yourself, what do I want the next few decades to look like? Do you see yourself working for as long as possible? Or do you dream of retiring early? What will fill your days if you retire early? travel, hobbies, grandkids. Now is the time to start thinking about those things. Also, think about your housing situation now in your 50s. Do you want to stay in your current home? Do you want to age in place? It's time to look at your home with a critical eye. How will you navigate that home as you get older? Maybe doing some things now in your 50s would be better than putting it off and waiting. Or do you want to downsize? Do you want to relocate to another state, another country? I mean, now is the time to start putting all that research into action. And in your 50s is really a critical time to get documents and other things, done. We don't know how many years we have left. Nobody does. We don't know how many years of cognitive sharpness and ability that we have left. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a depressing thing to bring up in this video. But if we can get all of our documents in order and organized, if we can get in a will, an estate plan, make sure all of your accounts have the beneficiaries listed that you intend for them to be. You know, if you want to also look into setting up, power of attorney, living wills, there's a lot of things that we can get done in that department in our 50s. And then we can just say, it's all done and we don't have to worry about it anymore too much unless things change. You have to fix it. Now, our 50s, they are our power years. And I can't stress this enough. Use them wisely, use them to your benefit. So I hope I gave you just, a little, well, maybe a lot of motivation in this video. I know we all need a little motivation in our 50s, and we can get that from different places. So if I helped you just a little bit, I would love to hear about it in the comments. I would love for you to hit the like button. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel because I have another new video coming in just a few days, and I would love to have you back. Thanks for spending this time with me today. I hope I inspired you. Take a look at this video. I'll link it right here on what it took me 50 years to realize. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.